Afternoon, everybody. Thank you for being here today. It's a special day, the award ceremony certificate for our BTT class. And yeah, it's truly a special moment for us at Wistar. Wistar has stood for science for over 130 years. That's the only thing we do. And I think we do it pretty well, whether it's cancer research, whether it's vaccine research, whether it's immunology. That's the DNA of the Institute. And having an opportunity to share a little bit of that passion with our students from the community college is always a privilege and an honor. And you know, we hope that what you've been exposed to in the lab, the rotations, the classwork, we really hope it's going to stay. You know, I always think that it's not a job. I always think that this is a little bit more of an adventure. And that's what the research lab should be about, of finding something new. And the tools that you've acquired, the knowledge that you have been exposed to, we really hope it's going to stay with you for a long time. And it's going to be also a little bit of a key to unlock, if you're interested, a career, a profession in the life sciences. So again, thank you for being here. It's a true honor for me now to introduce Dr. Bill Warner, the originator and the founder of the BTT program at Wistar.
Thank you, everyone. I'm so pleased to see some faces that I know, and I'm very delighted to be seeing the new group of people who were here this summer, 2021. And I have had a long establishment with this wonderful training opportunity, and I've valued it tremendously from the point of view of seeing people become successful. And the remarks I'd like to offer you today with regard to where you go after you've had this preliminary exposure is, what are your plans for success, and how do you plan for success? To know and find out what you really want to do. So as you can perhaps, such as working in a discovery research laboratory, whether it be in an academic institution or any of our research and development companies, or providing technical and validation support, as current turns out to be, you should be asking yourself, what is it that I really want to do? And what does success look like to you? These are questions that you're now ready to pose and take very seriously. But it starts off by asking, who are you? And what do you want to be? Where do you need to know? What do you need to know? What further knowledge and skills do you need to be where you want to be? You can help. Who can help you is the question. Who can get in your way at the same time? This is a problem. Turn your aspirations into reality. You need a team of trusted advisors, point number one, to help you uncover who you truly are. And at the same time, you should be asking of yourself, what do they think of me in doing this work that I'm doing? Because you're planning for your success. So when you know what you want, it is easier to know what you need at this point. You need resources, no question, knowledge, more of it, skills, and very importantly, feedback. Search for feedback that you can get from people who you work with. How do they respect you? How do they regard you? Also have, and I've said this to all our trainees going forward, you should have a mentor. No, not just one. 3 to 5 mentors would be what would be a good number. People who get to know you and give you that feedback. But also, out of those small numbers of mentors, one, unbeknownst to you, one day is going to be your champion. And count on that thought, because you want a champion for when you move on to your next opportunity and where you're going to excel, because it is your success. Part of your plan now is to have those mentors behind you. So through time and constantly challenging, grow as a leader and as a team member, as a member of a working team. Help others reach their goals. It's a very important aspect of who you become and the success you make. And let them be successful in their own. You're being trained to offer, to be an assistant, to be a research technician assistant. Appreciate that your mentor, your principal investigator, your head of division, whatever, they're making a life commitment to this. They've already made that plan. So you're helping them be successful. And at the same time, you're getting the feedback of what it means to be successful in your own right. So challenging yourself to be a leader, as well as a member of a team. Truly, to be a solid leader, you must need to know how to lead yourself. So begin with seizing opportunities. There'll be many presented to you. The doors will be open. Chase the goal of continuously learning, and you're going to have fulfilled your plan for success. So that is what I hope you'll remember and think about from here throughout your career. You're only a success when you finally reach that great feeling of, I've done it, I've made an impact somewhere. Good luck to all of you. I think it's wonderful that you started off with us here at the Wistar Institute and all the affiliated facilities that you could experience. It's only a beginning for many of you, but continue the journey. It'll pay dividends beyond your best dreams right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Bill. Our next speaker is going to represent the class of 2020 Biomedical Technician Training Program. And although we are sad that he could not join us in person, I am proud to introduce Mr. Anton McFadden coming to you remotely. So thank you, Eric, for your help with that.
Hello, all. First, allow me to congratulate and commend you all making it to this day that you have worked hard for. A day that your perseverance and commitment throughout a very unprecedented and tribulating time will be commemorated for. Your dedication to your research has made this moment possible. I would like to speak on the changes and evolution that we have all undergone from our first time walking through the doors of this institute to now. I can vividly remember the excitement we all felt being a part of an experience like this. For some, it was their first time being in an environment with such a rich tradition and pedigree for groundbreaking research. For others, it was the continuation of their journey for knowledge in their craft and their passion. For all of us, it has served as a compass rose, guiding us in our path to individual success in our future fields. We have learned much during our time here, but we have come to know more about ourselves as well. Partaking in this experience makes us ask an important question. What is our why? Our why gives way to our how gives way to our where, which gives way to the most important question, who are we? I feel that being at Wistar has helped discern what brings the best out of us, what ignites the fire that is our curiosity. American author Zora Neale Hurston once said, "There are years that ask, and there are years that answer." Certainly the time we have spent here at Wistar has answered questions pertaining to what we are capable of and what inspires us. On the behalf of us all, I would like to thank Dr. Altieri, Dr. Warner, Dr. Keefe, Mrs. Crichton, Dr. Shooter-McGuire, Dr. Salerno, all of the PIs that have allowed us to become a part of their labs, and the many people who make a program like this come to fruition. I'll conclude with a quote from Custamato, legendary boxing trainer and coach of Mike Tyson, that I believe encapsulates our time at the Institute. A boy comes to me with a spark of interest. I feed the spark and it becomes a flame. I feed the flame and it becomes a fire. I feed the fire and it becomes a roaring blaze. The Wistar Institute has fed that spark for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Anton. That was a great speech, and we're so happy to have you represent the class of 2020. So Anton was able to finish his internship last summer, but we have worked with the individual students and the individual labs so that that class of 2020 has been able to complete the program. And we still have one more coming through this summer who just started this week. You know, we are thrilled for that. And I also see, you know, some of those students joining us online, as well as some who are here in person. So I'm Dr. Christy Schuda-McGuire, and I want to talk about our new class, the class of 2021. So some of the class of 2021 were supposed to start the biomedical technician training program last May. So they interviewed, they were selected, and then a pandemic hit. And we couldn't start the program with those new students last year, but we felt strongly about wanting to keep our promise that those students would still finish the program by August 2021. And so we came up with a plan for an accelerated version of the biomedical technician training program that was supported this year from a grant from GSK as part of their STEM Equity Collective Initiative in Philadelphia, to allow us to pilot this accelerated version of the biomedical technician training program, where we had students start. They did our 2-week orientation with a new updated curriculum, and then they did 2 internships, one in an academic laboratory and one in an industry laboratory. And we couldn't be more pleased with the results. So all 12 students, I'm looking at them smiling over here, should give themselves a pat on the back, because they not only completed the program, but 100% of them are either continuing their education or taking laboratory positions, and best case outcome, several of them are doing both of those things. So we couldn't be more pleased with the results of the new accelerated 1 summer format for the biomedical technician training program. So I would like to welcome Mr. George Padilla up to the podium to capture what that experience has been like for the class of 2021.
Thank you, everyone. I would like to thank the Wistar Institute for having me speak on behalf of the 2021 BTT cohort. Thank you, Dr. Salerno. Thank you, Dr. Schuda-McGuire. Thank you, Dr. Keith, for having me here today, as well as my fellow peers. To start, I would like to talk a bit about myself. Since I was a kid, I've held an interest in how things function. Naturally, in college, I gravitated towards the science, specifically biology. So in college, picking a major for me was a no-brainer. I loved biology. Every college student receives questions about their majors. We are all familiar with the dreaded question, so what do you want to do? For a long time, I did not know the answer to this question. I would always answer half-heartedly with vague maybes. Maybe something in medical field, maybe something teaching. I had no clue. But with the help of the biomedical technician training program, I now have a better idea. I know this rings true for some of my fellow BTT students as well. Prior to the BTT program, much of my peers have had minimal lab exposure, partially due to COVID-19. However, with the patience and instruction of our mentors, we developed firm masteries of our lab skills. Within the span of our orientation, concepts such as aseptic technique, tissue culture, and much more were instilled in us. With the foundations our mentors laid for us during orientation, we went on to our rotations. During my industry and academic research rotations, I further developed my skills as a laboratory has taught me the importance behind working in an organized and process-oriented manner. While I learned a great deal from both of my experiences, I found that each had its distinct challenges and learning moments. For example, during my academic rotation, I read questions based on scientific publications. Before this program, the closest thing I've read to a scientific paper was a Wikipedia article. Now I read papers for fun. I recount these experiences to highlight that many of these acquired skills are transferable and will do well to serve us in the lab and beyond. The BTT program has granted my peers and me the unique opportunity to engage in industry and academic research-based environments. The BTT program is an opportunity that is rarely afforded to the community college students, undergrads, or even postgrads. And for that, we are all grateful. I would like to congratulate everyone and give special thanks to Talia Moreno and Integral Molecular, as well as Erica Gronberg and the Schroeder Lab. Thank you for listening, and please enjoy the rest of our commencement ceremony.
Thank you, George. So in 2017, the Wistar Institute developed the first registered non-traditional apprenticeship in biomedical research with the support from the Pennsylvania Department of Labor and Industry Apprenticeship and Training Office. And that registration allowed our longstanding biomedical technician training program to become a pre-apprenticeship. So one of our success stories in taking advantage of both the biomedical technician training program and the biomedical research technician apprenticeship is Miss Marjorie Donnelly. So Marjorie, would you please come up and say a few words on behalf of the apprentices that have finished the program from September 2019 until most recently in March of 2021.
I'm on vacation this week, so if my head is still a little fuzzy and at the beach reading a book, please forgive me. So I asked Christy what she would like me to talk about, and she said 2 to 3 minutes of what I've learned and why I stayed at the Wistar Institute. So I'll preface this with, I have stayed at the Wistar. I was fortunate in that there was a vacancy where I was about to do my apprenticeship, and I've stayed on in the histotechnology core. So briefly, what we do there is we prepare tissues and cells for microscopic examination and detection and nucleic acid extraction. So I think of learning through BTT and BRT in several stages. First is that basic science. I've had some science. It was really solid. It was not extensive, but I have a very solid basic science education through the BTT, through the classroom at CCP, and previous university work a long time ago. So that's the first stage, right? And the second stage for me is developing the practical and technical skills, technique, protocol, procedure, and to learn them. And this took some work with precision and accuracy, which I didn't need a whole lot of in my life before BTT, to be honest. I mean, there was maybe in certain kinds of baking or, but in my life, I just did, you know, I had worked in human services before where that sort of, that would be abusive to demand that kind of perfection or precision of people. So that took a little bit for me to, actually, what took a bit was to do that every single time, the consistency of it, which is demanded, you know. So anyway, with repetition, because you learn them, you keep doing them, you learn what you can expect from things, where you have flexibility. I know now that every time I make citrate buffer for antigen retrieval, a liter of it, I'm going to need 17 drops of concentrated hydrochloric acid to bring it down to a pH of 6. And that's just because I've done it enough. And eventually I figured out that it took the same number of drops and I could save a lot of time, but just going to 17. I learned where there's flexibility. I know that when I'm doing an immunostain, I have some flexibility with certain wash steps. That PBS on that wash step can stay there for 10 minutes and it's going to be fine. I know that with my secondary antibody step, I don't have anything like that kind of flexibility. I have a couple of minutes, one side or the other. And that's if I want the consistent result that the research demands, right? So that's taken some stretching. So I think of this third stage of learning as like applied science, a synthesis of this basic science and all these techniques I've learned, that practical and technical, the physical skills, which I think of as kind of like the job of a technician. I'm older than most of you, and so I'm not looking forward to a degree. I'm not going to get my PhD. I can make a very solid contribution to research as a technician, and that is my goal, and that's what I enjoy right now. Anyway, so let's see where else I was going with that. Oh, so with the synthesis of these things, I have the skills, I've done them repetitively, I have this basic science, and I can take it to the next level then. I can start to think critically about it. What you can't do, I can't do, maybe that's my brain, but I can't do if I have to think about every step of the protocol. You have to do it enough so that it's second nature, because if you're thinking, and which you have to do at the beginning, thinking about every single step, you can't be thinking critically. You can't go deeper with it. So I think this applied science step is really where I am now and where I imagine I'll spend the rest of my career. And that takes that repetition of learning those techniques and everything. A lot of the work I do is with this immunostaining using antibodies, and when I can go deeper with that knowledge now, and which means I can be critical about. I can think critically about it. I can work on optimizing, because I know I don't have to think about every step of the protocol anymore. I can start to assess my own work, which really is a matter of understanding what that protein is, where is it expressed in the cell, in the tissue, and so on. So let's see. Why I stayed. I feel really grateful to have been able, it was kind of a fluke, a luck, that I was able to stay at Wistar. I feel very grateful to have been able to. My predecessor, Nina, had gone through the BRT program. She left to take a job at Penn, and which made an opening that I was happy to fill. And I learn something new every day. There was talk of taking feedback, accepting feedback, and maybe it's my age, but that is no problem for me. I want to do the best work I can do. And something I really enjoy about working here, first off, because we're a core facility, we're getting work from all labs, or many, many different labs, many different kinds of research. I'm working with many different kinds of antibodies. And well, so there's that. But I really enjoy working with people who are just establishing themselves in their careers, in the profession, in the field, postdocs and doctoral students, even research assistants. My own daughter is a research assistant at CHOP, hoping to do the same thing, right? She's working her butt off, getting her names on papers, and hopes to be an MD, PhD someday. God bless her. That's a lot of school. But anyway, that's her thing, right? I really like helping this. I have every day, I have more appreciation for what they have at stake, the work that they've put in, and it's very motivating to me. If I'm doing a stain on tissue, it's been, it's on the tissue block. It's 33 weeks. And I gather that means 33 weeks. That is a long commitment, time commitment. And at the very end of all that is the work I'm doing for them. And I really, really want to do the best I can do for them because I have a lot of respect for what they're doing. Let's see, I'll say one last thing. This is related to my age. When I started thinking about getting back into the workforce, I had a very simple goal, and that was to acquire a set of skills that were marketable for a job that wasn't soul crushing, you know, something that could be a little stimulating at least. And I wanted to do that without going into education debt. The BTT program was just tailor-made for me. And I was so grateful that I was encouraged by Christy, Dr. Warner, everybody to pursue this because it was not a given. When I first started taking classes again, I had done this at various periods. I had a ridiculous number of hoops to jump through to even be able to take those classes. They would look at me and I could just tell they didn't think I could do it. They kept trying to put me into lower classes, even though I had all the prerequisites, had gotten A's in those prerequisites, already had a degree, had a chemistry departmental award. And, you know, it was several years before, nothing drastically had changed in my brain. There was no sign of cognitive impairment or anything. So, but I knew that they had to let me do it. So I kept jumping through those hoops, and that was the last of any of that. Every professor I've had here, every instructor, every mentor has, and the Wistar Institute has taken me at face value. That is, we couldn't care less how old you are. Can you do the work? Do you get it? Are you making the contribution? What's it? You know, that's it. That's all I've ever asked for. And I'm very grateful for that opportunity. And I'm grateful to make a contribution. So thanks. That wasn't as fuzzy as I thought it would be. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm grateful for Marjorie for coming back from vacation just to be able to talk to us about her experience in both programs today. One thing I will say before I introduce our keynote speaker is that, you know, a couple of people have remarked to me about how amazing the transition has been for the class of 2021 from just when they started the program in May until now, you know, mid-August when they are finishing. And I know you have more growth ahead of you, but we've been amazed at that. For Marge, I was one of those people who knew her when she was coming back for those initial classes at CCP. So to see her transition from then until, you know, here she is, a professional, a technologist at the Wistar Institute is just amazing. So I hope you all will continue to grow. So without further ado, I am very thankful to introduce our keynote speaker today, Calvin Snowden, who is the managing partner of CBS Biopharma.
Thank you. Congratulations, everyone. One of the challenges when you give speeches and you're the last person is the fear that people will cover everything you want to cover. And Dr. Warner did a wonderful job covering some of my key points that I wanted to cover today. But I think I can add on what he shared today. So I'm going to take you through my career in life science from when I graduated in May of '98. Don't worry, I'm not going to take you through 23 years of my life, but I'm going to share the highlights with you and talk about how I was able to successfully navigate through the life science. So in May of '98, I was sitting where you guys are sitting today. I was graduating from Temple with a degree in environmental engineering. And at the time, the job market wasn't that great. So I was going to go get a master's in civil engineering, and I was enrolled. I was fortunate enough to be at a dinner, and they were looking for an internship at a company called Centacor. Centacor was based in Malvern, Pennsylvania, and they were a biotech company. And I heard the gentleman talk about how he liked biology. I hated biology, right? So to put it in perspective, biotech, it's all biology, but me not knowing, I thought biotech, we would be creating like bionic arms. So I was excited about the opportunity. I told the gentleman who needed an intern, I said, whatever you need, I can do. He was like, we need filing. I said, I love filing. And I got the internship and I started the summer of May 98. And it happened to be the best experience of my life. And the reason being, I stayed at that company for 15 years. And I started off in the health and safety program, and I was interning and doing a master's degree. I looked around at the leadership of the company, at the people who were in VP positions, executive directors, president roles, and I looked at, they had scientific undergrad degrees or technical undergrad degrees, but they had MBAs, they had advanced degrees. I mean, many of the people who worked in research or those type had PhDs, and I switched and went after MBA. I did a dual master's degree at Penn State while I was working there. One of the things that I will share with you is a lot of these companies have excellent programs that will pay for you to further your education. I took advantage of everything they would give me. I called it free money. I took advantage. I did a dual master's degree and they paid for it. And the beauty of it is the day after I graduated, I could have quit and they wouldn't have taken, they can't take the degree back. So I often encourage people to take advantage of all of those opportunities. This is the first step in your education. But what happened as I worked through the 3 years in health and safety, I moved to supply chain logistics, where I did new product launch. I focused on supporting our global market. So I grew up in Washington, D.C., moved here to go to college, went to Temple, and I went into this global launch role. And next thing, I'm traveling to Japan, China, Italy, Netherlands. So one of our manufacturing plants was in a place called Leiden. I had stamps on my passport. I got to visit all over the world. And the best part about it was someone was paying for it. So, you know, again, you'll see my theme is get other people to pay for it, because you get to see it in a whole different perspective when the company's paying for it. So, and it was a great opportunity. It shaped who I am because I got to learn other cultures. I got to understand how we did business. Like I had to launch Remicade, which is a product that was actually developed here at Wistar and launched through Centocor, where it focused on rheumatoid arthritis. And Remicade could pretty much fix everything. I mean, it was a super drug. It still exists. But I got to launch it in the Japanese market. I got to learn what that was like. I got to spend time in Japan, and it was just a phenomenal experience. I never knew from meeting someone at a dinner the opportunities I would get from the life science. So, you know, I went from there to new product launch, where we launched products called Symphony and Solera, where I got to work and get closer to patients and understand how patients use the drugs and the benefit, and taking it all the way to the end user and seeing how that worked. I'm one of the fortunate few that have been able to work from end to end in the supply chain, from the development side all the way to giving it to the customer. What I strongly encourage people to do is take advantage of the opportunities, right? So everyone's always afraid of change. When someone approaches you with an opportunity, don't be afraid, take it, go after it. You'll learn something new. Now I'm 45 years old, and a lot of these experiences I've had from my 20s, I now pull from to help me make decisions around. I have my own business, and I use what I've learned over the years. But if I hadn't taken these opportunities, I would have never been able to do this. I used to sit in meetings, and I was the youngest person in the room, and all these PhDs, and I would listen to them talk, and I was like, how do they know all this stuff? And it was all from their life experiences and working on different things. So don't be afraid to take advantage of the opportunities presented to you. One thing that I will add from that comment is, when you sit in these rooms and you don't know, it's okay to ask, what does that mean? I promise you, there's other people in the room that don't know, but no one's going to speak up. People respect you more when you say you don't know. And then they'll explain it. One of the things, as Dr. Warner expressed about mentors, I had formal and informal mentors. Formal mentors are ones that you ask to be your mentor. Informal, there were people that I watched do things that I liked and like leadership skills. And I would watch them in meetings and I would learn from them. Sometimes you ask people to be your mentor, it kind of freaks them out because they feel it's a lot of pressure, but you can invite someone to lunch, sit down and talk to them and say, and just have a conversation. People love talking about themselves. If you talk to Anita, she'll tell you I love talking about me. That's why they got me up here. But the key thing is build that network as you go through the work world, because what you'll learn as you go through your career, it's not only your manager or supervisor who evaluates your performance, it's also their peers. Sometimes they do evaluations based on committee. There may be an opportunity or a position you want to go for. It's important that everyone in the group knows what your ability is. It's not just going to come from you working at the bench all day. It's also what you do at the bench and how you interact with your coworkers. So be approachable, have conversations with people. If the group goes and grabs coffee in the morning, go get coffee with them, right? That's how you build those relationships to help shape your career. So all of this is what I used as I went through my career. And one of the other key things, I know it can be intimidating sometimes when you go into these environments, but just always remember this. I use it all the time, still to this day. You belong there. Don't think you don't. Like, you're there because you have the skills and the ability, and don't let anyone take that from you. I know it's nervous. You can be nervous going into the situation, but you deserve to be there and you belong there. And as long as you remember that, you'll be successful. I think as I close out, I call myself an unofficial employee of Wistar. I've been working with them for 2 years. I love it here. And they're all way smarter than me. I'm an engineer, but all this, like you guys were talking about stain and all of that, I was like, right over my head. This young man was talking about something. I was like, all right. But we're here for you. And what I mean by that is you've come through this institution. You'll need, as you go through your career, mentors or people to talk to, or you may just need someone to talk to about the situation. Reach back into the institution. I'm in LinkedIn. My name's in the program. Link into me. You can email, call me. I'm happy to talk, even if you're having a tough day. As you build your career plan, it's always good to have someone to talk to. I'm not sure who's on the Zoom meeting right now, but I promise you, there's probably 3 or 4 of my mentors on there because we have a workforce advisory committee, and I still talk to them and seek advice. So you may think that you're bothering people when you ask for advice, but people really want to help and see you advance. Everyone has a common goal to see you successful. So I think I covered everything that I wanted. I was gonna go off script and open it up to questions, but I'm not. I'm looking at Anita. No, I'm not. So I'm gonna say thank you for the opportunity, and I wish all you success, and I truly mean it. Look me up on LinkedIn to me, and I'm here for anything you need advice.
Thank you. Yes, Calvin is a great person to know. So I encourage all of you to introduce yourself and ask those questions at the reception afterwards. So Calvin, thank you so much. You have been a great champion for Wistar and our education and training initiatives. And we're so glad you could be here to let the students know all the possibilities for them in a career in life sciences. So we would like to present the certificates. So Dr. Dominic Salerno from the Community College of Philadelphia is going to come up. And the first group is the class of 2020. So Dr. Bill Warner, if you could come up. These students have already received their certificates. Some of them I see are joining us online, and others are in person. So if you are here in person when your name is called, please come down, and we're going to do a picture with Dr. Warner.
Hello, the class of 2020, Shasta Body. Not with us.
We know she didn't make it. She called in. She was on flight back and she
Oh,
couldn't. She should be
correct, yes.
on Zoom.
Could be
Is
this
that
today.
correct?
Yaya Dia.
Yaya was
No.
in our vaccine center.
Yes. Not today.
Okay,
See Kimber Fox.
Kimber, come on back. Great to see you, Kimber. Good to see you. Kimber's employed at Wuxi Uptech, by the way.
Riza Kuthu. Hi, Riza. We know Anton McFadden, who we heard from earlier. Carrie Palmer, also online, and Hannah Potens, also online. So we have our duo up here. Yes, I was gonna say, I'll get a picture with these. Thank you.
You're still tall. Come on. There you go. There we go. Yeah, you got it. That's much better. All right. Yeah, I got it. Yeah, I don't have a-
Thank you to the class of 2020. Congratulations. For those who are joining us both in person and online. Okay, so our next group is our class of 2021 who are here in person. So I'm going to let Dominic read the names again, and then I will present you with your certificates.
Erin Annell. Stephanie Conroy. Slow down. Yung Dean. Mohammed El Qaid. Andre Koyata. Catherine Mock. Kenneth Maynor. Amanda Nasso. Tanner Nelson. George Padilla. Andrea Paulson. Finwick Sang. Congratulations to the class of 2021.
And we'll get that group photo with the class of 2021 right at the end of the ceremony. So if you could stay back just a few minutes, we would appreciate it. And then our last group are our BRT apprentices. And as I said, this includes apprentices who finished the program from after our last completion ceremony. So from September of 2019, all the way to the most recent in March of 2021. And speaking of the most recent, the first name on my list, and I'm thrilled that she could join us from her position at Integral Molecular, Mariana Sagba. I'll read the names. And stay there with Dr. Runner. And then from the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia Research Institute, Keith Bohm. Yaya Dia, who couldn't join us today because he is now in Texas. Marjorie Donnelly, who is, as you heard, at the Wistar Institute in our histotechnology core facility. Kyle Goldner, he is on vacation this week, but also with Marianne up at Integral Molecular. And Colleen Welsh. So congratulations to our biomedical research technician apprentices. And with that, I would just like to give the final thank yous and acknowledgements. Dr. Werner taught me that it takes a village, or at least an institute, right, to be able to raise all of you into our next generation of scientists. But we'd also like to acknowledge the support of not only the Wistar Institute, but the Community College of Philadelphia. And I saw the new Dean of Math, Science, and Health Careers joining us online today. So thank you, Dr. Shaw, for joining in. We look forward to having you in person at Wistar soon. We'd also like to acknowledge the support from Citizens Bank, the Ann M. and Philip H. Glatfelter Family Foundation. As I said before, GSK, GlaxoSmithKline, the Gray Charitable Trust, the Hassel Foundation, Independence Blue Cross Foundation, Keystone Development Partnership, the Brooke J. Lenfest Foundation, the National Science Foundation that will be supporting our program going forward until the summer of 2024. Office Depot, the Pennsylvania Department of Labor and Industry PA SMART grant program, the Pennsylvania Department of Labor and Industry Apprenticeship and Training Office, Philadelphia Works, the Pincus Family Foundation, and the Scholler Foundation. So thank you to all of those sponsors who really make this program possible. And again, thank you to all of you for being great representatives of our program, and for everybody for joining us both in person and online for our first hybrid biomedical technician training and biomedical research technician apprenticeship program completion ceremony. Thank you. So anybody who is in person at the Wistar Institute, please join us for a reception in the atrium. And as I said, the class of 2021, if you could hang back for that group photo, we would appreciate it. Thank you.